Just wanted to do a quick video before Tyler shows up. Again, these are the Echo series. It's just their entry level, the RED 2500.1. You can find it at recoilaudio.com. I think right now they're selling them for $180 or $179.99. That's shipped. One of the things that I found that they forgot was to include a fuse holder. Oh, I grabbed the wrong fuse. It should be a 250. They also don't carry 250s yet. That's one of the things that we're going to be ordering for fall, is to come in these. What I've been doing is ordering them off. The best deal that I found lately was off of Amazon under the Scar brand. And again, Scar doesn't make those. Somebody else does. So let's see if this fire truck is going to go. Fuck, they're always in a hurry. So 2500.1, as you saw on the amp dyno that Lance over at Hi-Fi Vector did, it does stated power. Again, it's just the entry-level series. I don't think they're going to come out with a DI, even though I do think they have. Yeah, that's what I told them last season was there's a DI 1200.1 that I want them to import, and it's basically a knockoff of the Kicker amps that were I think the CXA series that were 2 ohm stable. So basically some of the DI series were meant to just be 2 ohm stable versions. Like right now they have the RED 600.1, which is a 1 ohm stable version. And then the DI 600.1 is a 2 ohm optimized or stable version. So again, it just depends on, they're both equally awesome. They're fine. They both come with a bass knob. They have slightly different features as far as termination goes and things like that. And there's I think there's only like a $10 or even a $20 difference between the two. And again, one's not better than the other. It's just different. So it's a different way to do things. It's like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's basically the same thing. But I did want to talk about amplifier repair real quick. I get a lot of requests for amplifier repair. I don't do amplifier repair. I did at one time, and this is 10 years now. I did get to know Bernie Boland, the guy that basically invented, him and Dick LeMay invented PPI and Orion. I got to know him personally. I hung out at his house, met his family, had dinner with them, bought them dinner. It was my honor to buy him dinner. And we used to sit there. I got a big score from when I used to go get the scraps from, who was it? Diamond Audio and Sirwin Vega Mobile. So this is probably 07, 08. And I got a score on a bunch of their amps. I went there. I used to go there every Saturday and buy their dead, what is it called? Diamond Audio. It's not the CM3. I forget what they called it. Oh, the D3. The D3 sub. It was their 2.5 inch coil. It's 2 5/8, and it's a pretty good woofer. And so anyways, I used to go get those, and I think they would give them to me for like $10 each, which I thought was a really good deal. And then they wouldn't let me have the amplifiers. But the dumpster that they were throwing them in had a big label on the front of it that said, so-and-so electronic recycling. And so I just, quietly took a picture of that. And then I showed up one Saturday and it was empty. And so I was like, all right, it's time. So, of course, I collected my woofers, and I was very grateful and happy for that. And again, this is all cash. They said they used my money to pay for the company barbecue, but I wasn't allowed, so I was like, that's fine. But so anyways, I contacted the scrap company, and they were like, yeah, I think they paid 20 cents a pound. And they're like, yeah, will you pay 40 cents a pound? I was like, yeah. And then I called Bernie Boland, and I said, hey, bud, is this a good deal? And he says, ask yourself, how often will this happen? And I said, this is very rare. And he goes, well, then take advantage. And I said, okay. So I ended up spending about $2,500. And that was the D1 1000.1, the D1 1100.1, which was actually from a different vendor. It was like a revision, but it was from a different vendor, and they used a slightly different board, slightly different processors, and they had a different fail. Both of that series, the D1 series of amplifiers back then from Diamond Audio, this is 08, 09, they had like a 50% fail rate. But at the time, Larry, I think both the Larrys were there working. They learned not to use that vendor, because sometimes the vendor doesn't give a shit, and sometimes the vendor, either by accident or on purpose, gets counterfeit parts, and that can be a huge issue. And so then you're talking about 100% fail, that you basically just scrap the whole project, and it's a huge waste of money and time. So anyways, we got those amps in, and about a third of them worked right off the bat. We just tested them and went through them. And then I was selling those for $150 each. And then we also got the Diamond D6 series, which is actually a really hardy amp. It does about 15 to 1700 watts. It's rated at 1200.1 or 1200 watts at 1 ohm. It had nice, I think, if I remember right, it had 0 gauge terminals on it. It was really nice. Bernie said that those were worth repair. And so I would take probably 30 at a time over there, and then we'd knock them out like in a Saturday. And then I think I'd give him cash about $60 to $75 a board, and then I'd go sell it, because I got them for scrap price, 40 cents a pound, and then we did all right. But one of the things that Bernie taught me about, I was basically his board tech. So he was at a troubleshooting station, like a solder station, but he had an O-scope there, and he mostly just like hanging out and having somebody to talk to that wasn't stupid. And Bernie's also he plays the drums, and he's into RC planes and a bunch of other hobbies at the time. Anyway, this was 1 or 2 wives ago. Anyway, but so one of the things that he taught me was, if you're just a guy like me at home repairing stuff and you want to learn, you don't have to buy from DigiKey or Mouser, especially if you're not going to buy in bulk. It gets pretty expensive, and then some of them charge shipping. I forget who it is, but DigiKey is a subsidiary of Avnet, and then Mouser I think is independent, or it might be part of something bigger. There also used to be another player under MCM Electronics, but they were under Farnell, which is they were under Newark, which is under Farnell or Farnell or whatever it is. Hold on. Some Mustang guy with a little wiener. But so anyways, the point I wanted to get to is there's a lot of semiconductors companies here, and of course Bernie knows a lot of those guys, and Bernie actually worked for On Semiconductor for a little bit as well. And he goes, "Oh, you don't know the trick?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, a guy like you only needs samples." And I was like, "What do you mean samples?" And so you can actually order samples from On Semiconductor, from Vishay, from, was it Rockwell? I think Rockwell got folded into Vishay, if I remember right. Oh, they split the division. They split, it was FETs, and then they went another way. They wanted to divide their fabs. I think Vishay bought the MOSFET version, the power MOSFETs, power transistors. And so Vishay is here locally, and there's several fabs here locally. And you can go to Vishay's website, VISHAY. And what you can do is find the part that you're looking for, whatever it is, RFP 70N05 or whatever it is. And you'll notice that there are several different versions of the same device. So what it ends up being is like, it's either a P channel or an N channel, and it'll be rated at 70 amps current or 80 amps current or whatever it is. What you want to look for is the RDS on resistance, which will be measured in like fractions of an ohm, tiny fractions, like 0.003 of an ohm. And what you want to do is match those up. So on the older devices, it has a higher on resistance. And so if I remember right, it was the gate resistor that sort of works in conjunction with that value in order to make the device turn on correctly. And so one of the problems that you run into is if you change out like one device, especially on an older amp that uses the, what was it? It's the 90, is it 8990 or 9091 bipolar? configuration that's in like a lot of the PPI amps. If you can find old devices, awesome. Typically you cannot, but again, contact Vishay, and sometimes they'll put something back into production, especially if you're doing a bunch of old ones. You got to remember that those older devices suck, okay? So the newer devices are much more efficient, and they actually allow more current than the package size is rated for. The package size on a TO220 is rated at 100 watts, that's it. And typically the old PPI and Orion engineers used to do a 50%, I don't want to call it a duty cycle, but like a rating. Like basically they would use a 100 watt device to provide 50 watts, right? And so that way you're conservative down the line, and that's where you get, the quality that you guys all love from Orion and things like that. The new devices are even better, and you can do the same thing. You can still do like a 50% rating on the device, but the devices are good for now for like I said, the TO220 device is good for 100 watts. But if you look at the ratings, it's like off the charts. And that's because they started using them, I'm thinking the 3205 device is what Diamond used. And that's in the old D5 series, the 1200.1, 600.1, and the 1500.1 that later became the D6 series before they decided to move everything to China. They were doing assembly in Nogales. But that device was actually used on ABS brakes. And so it's like a super, high current device. And that's what you really want, is a really robust device that's made to do like, 150 amps, which is way more than what the device package size can handle. If you don't know what package size is, look at look at that big black guy that I posted on the Instagrams. But no, package type and package size, there's TO3, there's TO247, there's of course TO220, which is the most common or the most popular because it's been used for 50 years now. And then there's a couple of in-between sizes, if I remember right, like on the TIP 3536C. Those were like in-between devices. And then for a minute, PPI and Diamond, because again, I think that was Mark, I forget his name. Oh, the guy that didn't friend me on Facebook or whatever, but he was an amp designer that I think he did some designs for Esoteric and for Diamond Audio. And they ended up using this huge device that I think was only made by On Semiconductor. It was like the size of a $50. Like it was like huge, basically they figured out other ways to do it. They do it in the die now to shrink that. So they don't really. That package size is available because it's established, but inside there is a die. That's what they call it, and that's the actual circuit traces. And what they've been able to do now is shrink the die size so small, right? They're even cheap shit is made at 13 nanometers and even smaller. So, but 13 nanometers is big now, even though they've gotten down much smaller than that. But so what they do is they shrink the die pack that is the actual wires that are inside the device. And now they can put like 4 or 16 or even about 16 dies now in the same package size on the TO220 package size. So now you have that many, 16 times more wires, traces inside the device, but the package size stayed the same. And that's how you make the device more efficient, is you have more devices in parallel inside that device. And then you can still hand match them if you want, as far as amp repair goes. And what you're looking for is the RDS turn-on resistance. And you can Bernie showed me how you can sit there and turn on a FET and measure the resistance and then also turn it off. There's a way to do it. I forgot how he was showing me. He was showing off. Bernie likes to show off, by the way. So, that was my tips on amp repair, is that you can contact Vishay and the other on Semiconductor, which is Motorola. It used to be Motorola. Or was it Freescale? Freescale was another one. I think that was an offshoot of Motorola. But anyways, you just go online and you find the devices that you want, and you can order up to 10 samples, and then you just make up a bullshit name of whatever project you're going to be using these on. Now, be prepared. Sometimes you'll get contacted by a rep because they want to move a lot more devices. And if you can come up with a project and start buying devices, they will actually give you a better deal, cheaper than what you can get from China. Again, the problem with China is sometimes you don't always get what you paid for, and then sometimes, even worse, like North Korea making super notes, is sometimes you can't even tell the difference until you put it in the amplifier and try it out, because you have to put it under load, and so that's difficult. So that's what's great about having companies like Vishay here in Phoenix or in town, and you can source them, and that they're good shit, and then you try the samples. You can get away with that maybe once or twice, especially if it's every 6 months or something like that, and just say that you're working on a project. But that's an quick and easy way to acquire these devices that are normally $3 to $4 each, that you basically get them for free. I think On Semiconductor charged me like $20 one time, and they sent it air freight, which was crazy. And because I think it was like during the holidays, and I was like getting FedEx overnight packages, like holy shit. And the On Semiconductor is here as well, so they're over in Scottsdale, and and I think Vishay is actually right around the corner. It's by the Home Depot over by my house, so, or at least one of their facilities is. And so anyways, I wanted to give you guys those tips and also those experiences that I had with Bernie, and also to remind you that this amplifier, which contains lots of TO220 devices, is a great value. It provides over 2,500 watts RMS. It's 1 ohm stable. It comes with a 1-year warranty. And when you get it from me, I give you the best price on the net, which is $175 shipped. And then I also include a 0 gauge A&L, mini A&L, see that? With a mini A&L too. Fuse holder and a 250 amp fuse, which I'm going to swap out. So Tyler, the tow truck guy, came by and bought 3 of the PW12D2s, and he's putting in that MB enclosure box that I showed you in the video. MB enclosures didn't make that, just kidding. So that was my friend Tyrone, who used old furniture to make a speaker box. So, but I sold it for $100, so that's all that matters, and it's fine. It's a good box. But so we bought that, which was oversized sealed. I think it was like 2 1/4 sealed, and he'll do 3 of those in series parallel to get about 1.3 DCR, and then he'll power it with this fucker. Each one's good for about 700 watts, which is, I found out, was still a conservative rating. These subs are actually really badass. I'm really proud of it. Oh, that was the other thing. Somebody asked if they were going to be coming out with an Echo Pro, upgrade for the subwoofers, and I think that's getting ordered tomorrow, which is basically Recoil is going to come out with a more affordable version of what NVX sells under their VCW subwoofer, which is a 3-inch coil, triple stack. It's good for like 1,500 watts. And that was NVX's, which is Sonic Electronics, which is Nate, which is their version of the Epsilon Soundstream T5, which was the Tarantula. It is also marketed basically under the same. It was basically the same woofer under the SPLX series as well. So, anyways, that's your car audio news. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, and let me know how I can help you. Bye.